your shapes probably didn't suck. So what got you? What got you?
Well, okay, what got me into shaping is that when I used to go to Hawaii every winter, spend the whole winter there, sometimes the whole year there, and I started working for a shop over there. And what is it? I forget what shop it was, but
Inner Island?
No, that was later. But Wayne Land, an old shaper, he gave me my first shaping lesson. That was way back then. And then I worked for Inner Island Surf Shop, and I was taught by Mike Diffenderfer and all the other shapers that used to come through. They'd make up an appearance and shape boards at the shop of the Inner Island Surf Shop in Honolulu. So that was pretty cool. You'd have all this crew. Kenny Tilton would be shaping there, Mike Henson, and all the guys would come through, and I'd be doing not all the work, but I'd be doing a lot of the sanding and hot coating and glossing, and so I just wanted to become a shaper because I had the feel because I'm sanding all these guys' boards all the time, so I really got a good feeling for what's right and what's wrong. You know?
Yeah.
And then I just got into shaping I came back here, started working with George Olson, and I shaped some boards for him, and in 1965, I took over a shop at Rodale Gulch with Gail Yont's shop. And he went into the Coast Guard, and I walked into his place without, everything was all set up. It was $25 a month rent. So we were making about five to 10 boards a week. My brother was glassing for us, and Richard was there too. And then it just kind of kept going.
What drew you guys to surfing? You were like a jock, right? You were like doing everything, football, surfing. What did you do?
I was raised on Soquel Creek.
Oh.
So we had kook boxes.
What's that?
Hollow plywood boards, like 12 feet long. So I'd get a canoe paddle when I was like 7 years old, and I'd jump in the river and paddle down the river, and then I'd drag the board across the beach.
No way.
Paddle up to 38th Avenue, and my friend lived on 38th Avenue, and I'd go get him. And on the way up, though, they used to deliver milk in all the houses, and I'd go by every house and suck the cream off the top, put the thing back on, until we got busted. So then I would do that. It was like a routine in the summertime, and fish. I had a little 8-foot boat. I'd fish all the kelp beds by myself. And then my uncle used to take me to Cowles Beach to use me to hustle girls. He was in high school in 1951. And so once he got the girl, he had to get rid of me. So he found like a real balsa wood surfboard on the beach. And so I got into that, and that was over, done deal.
Was there a lot of surfing? When was this, in the 60s?
No, that was 1951.
Was there a lot of surfing?
Nobody, we used to surf all the way to outside pleasure with absolutely nobody out all the time.
The hook used to be a secret spot.
Yeah. And you'd surf by seasons too, so if you...
Really? I'm serious.
Yeah, the sharks...
I imagine there was no access anywhere, so you had to make your way down these little trails. I remember the hook trail used to scare the shit out of me.
Yeah, you had to go down with the roots and
some rope and roots, and I was like...
Steamer lane, you had to go off with the rope.
Yeah, fire hose at the lane.
Really?
Yeah.
Like in the coast where...
Yeah, right. And you could only surf the lane at low tide. You couldn't surf it at high tide. Because there wasn't any leashes, so if you lost your board, it'd get destroyed.
It goes into the blowhole. We tried to surf Third Reef way outside one day, about 5 of us, and the count was 13 broken balsa wood boards in one day, in half. And nobody would loan us any more boards. But you had to make your boards. You couldn't buy a board. You had to. Alonzo Weimer's I ran into in the early 50s, and he was one of the first guys to surf in Hawaii in big waves. It was the first crew that did that session with Clark and all those guys. So he taught me how to pick my balsa wood. Took me down to General Veneer, and you have a pallet of balsa wood, and you line up your balsa wood with the warp in the wood. So that was your rocker. So you'd spend all day going through and picking, is either 3 female and 2 male, or 3 male and 2 female. Pick all your blanks. And then you'd take you a day, maybe you'd get 5, 6 blanks out of the whole day for boards, and you'd buy it all and haul it back up here. And you had to glue it up, then you have to use a draw knife to peel off the wood, because it's just a big piece of rectangular wood. So you start off with, and you take a saw and saw it.
They don't have to play anything, did they?
No. So the whole thing done was by hand, and that's how I learned to, that was my first experience of learning how to shape boards, is all by hand. Big Japanese planers and to finish it off with, and then the glassing was just prehistoric.
When was the first time you rode a outboard?
I shaped the board at Olson's. I used to shape some boards at O'Neill's, and then George was teaching me how to shape, and then Doug went to work for Olson's, and he shaped this board for me, and then that's when I ended my career.
Yeah.
It was so much better than
Like,
anything.
I'll just write this.
He's an artist. The guy's an artist.
Yeah.
You know, I did the glassing and sanding, and I was really good at the business into it too. So.
With all the cold water, sharks, kelp everywhere, what made you guys stay here? Obviously, you traveled to Hawaii, this and that, and what
he
kept
went
you
to
guys
Hawaii
here?
first in 1959, and then we started going the next summer, and I always liked the waves here.
Yeah.
Well, this place it's kind of a mystical place in a way. It has certain kind of an attraction to it, and you get kept to this area here. It's really hard to get out of here. It's just it's one of the, I think, magic spots on the planet where there's a polarity here is just perfect, and you just want to be here. It's kind of like a mystery spot, you know. Like there's a few places all around the planet, and this place is one of those. It's real high energy, and it's hard to get away from.
Yeah.
It's got everything you want. It's got not too cold, not too hot. It's got all kinds of waves. You've got woods, you've got mountains close by. You go snowboarding, skiing. You've got lakes. You know,
Yeah.
whatever you want to do. It's a pretty unique area. They're really unique, and it's just well, you know, it's just all the things that you want to do. It's right here. Surf spots. I mean, pick them. What do you want to do? It's just like we had the river mouth. That thing that broke all summer long on the south swell. You'd have 5, 6, 8 foot left coming off that point up there, and it'd pick up all those swells. You have a lane. You know, Cowles Beach. I mean, God, it's just summertime. You surf out there all the time. Pleasure Point, 38th Avenue. I mean, whatever your flavor was for the day, it was all going off. You know.
Mm.
There's no wetsuits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you pick spots that are sheltered from the wind,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's where places like Pleasure Point and Cowles, Rivermouth,
Yeah.
you know, it's all sheltered.
Tucked in
So
there. You know.
you can go out, and plus you were riding longboard, so you know, the only time you really got wet is if you fell off or
You swam
something,
in.
or swam in and pick them up. So you got maybe an hour surf, 45-minute surf, an hour and a half at the most, you know.
Yeah.
Going to warm up.
And
We
it's
used to have fires on the beach all the time at the river mouth. I mean, you'd surf there all day long. You do 2 or 3 sessions. Come back, you got a big fire going, all the driftwood in there, and just like it was cool. Just hang out. It was great.
yeah. No, it was. I was raised in Capitola, so I had Capitola all the way up to Pleasure Point to myself until Doug came over, 58, whatever, somewhere around that. And then there was this group of guys started coming over from the valley. He was probably the first. We were the first wave. Well, Alonzo, there's a lot of guys that went to school at San Jose State, a lot of guys that went to school at Stanford, and they came from other places that started coming to Santa Cruz. And then the first real wave of guys that came from the valley, I think it was Doug was the first group that came in.
No, Foley, I think. Foley.
Well, Foley came out, his dad was always here. Chuck Foley was,
Well, there was Scroggs.
that was all,
Was that all that?
that was all later,
Okay.
yeah.
Anyway, it was fun.
This guy, Chuck Foley, this guy was like in the 40s. He was surfing 6-foot boards, twin fins with V-bottoms.
Wow.
That's what he surfed, and then his kid.
Epoxy.
Epoxy.
Really?
APS.
Yeah.
What?
And his kid,
Yeah.
Jim Foley, in the early 50s was doing the same thing. And, I mean, way before anybody was even thinking about that. I mean,
And Jim, one thing, Jim was riding like a 7.6 twin fin epoxy board, but he's the first guy that I saw that tied a rope to his ankle to his board, because he used to go out at high tide,
Yeah.
and so he could surf high tide
Yeah.
all by himself.
Yeah.
This guy's up.
Yeah. I mean,
because you lose your board, it goes into the blowhole of the lane.
You'd lose it was, you might as well just kiss it off, because you never, and
Yeah.
nobody could rescue it for you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
There's
you know.
nobody's gonna, no cops, no nothing to do it.
Yeah.
Then the longboards, when you put the rope on, because we saw him do that, and we said, well, this is really a good idea.
Oh,
But the problem with the longboard is it drags you into the rocks with it.
It's too heavy. They were too
And I
heavy.
did that one.
But he had real light boards, they were epoxy, EPS, so.
Wow.